Hi, this is Peter. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Anonymous, where we talk about the challenges and opportunities of being an entrepreneur in South Africa.
Hey guys, my name is Nathan Smith.
Hi everyone, my name is Nandi.
Hi, I'm Felix Brendel.
Hi, my name is Heather Others.
Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Lord Lucretius.
I'm a freelance videographer and aspiring documentary filmmaker. I specialize in event, brand engagement, a bit of fashion, and then music.
I'm a freelance photographer. I'm also award-winning fun contemporary photographer. Currently, I'm delving in fashion photography where I work with fashion brands, as well as model agencies.
I'm the divisional head of the laboratory by Tetrad Group. We're a brand strategy consultancy with a deep focus on audiovisual production.
I'm a marketing consultant and I specialize in social media.
I'm an artist from South Africa, specializing in conveying the human condition through poetry and arts.
Okay, so guys, we're all here to talk about the trials and tribulations of going it on your own, and the first thing we want to find out is actually around starting up. So how did it begin is actually the question. So did you first get I know you didn't, but did you first get a white collar corporate 9-to-5 job and eventually figure out that wasn't for you, or did you go it on your own and just share your stories? I'm curious.
All right, so for me, my beginning with music was more so untraditional. I went to school but then dropped out because I felt like I was wasting my time, to be honest. YouTube was there for me, and I had enough drive and incentive to know how to take information and apply it right then. So I was kind of opposed to waiting until I was told I was good enough, and I just went and took it instead. So that's kind of how I started, and some of the challenges I've had so far are because I don't have a traditional background in music. A lot of mistakes were made along the way, but ultimately I guess that was just a part of the process of learning how to get it done. So
Nice.
that's where we are now.
Nice.
Was it a difficult decision to make to drop out of school?
It was tough mostly because of the mindsets of the people around me, not my own.
Your family? Or?
Family, but also just having a lot of classmates who think they're going in the same place as you, but you clearly see that they're lost.
You took a different bus.
Yeah, I took the real life bus. I took the actual here's what's going on bus, not the in theory things might work like this. Nah, I just went for it.
Nice, that's rad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I never really worked a traditionally creative job. I didn't study anything creative, well, marketing, but I don't suppose that's overtly creative. I've done a lot in my life, just a bit of everything, because I was always trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And then around last year I started working with a corporate agency, and to be honest, it was one of the best and worst experiences of my life.
How so?
You start to realize that a lot of people just kind of exploit you for what you do because you don't necessarily have a degree in it or whatever. But even though I was definitely underpaid, I do value what I learned from working in a corporate position or just for an agency in general. I think for anyone, especially coming out of university, it's important to get that work experience, understand how to work with clients, how to approach projects, exactly, how to manage manage yourself, because as a freelancer, you get off from this corporate job and then all of a sudden there's nobody watching over you. So if you're not prepared or disciplined enough, you're gonna start strong, but then you're gonna end up just sitting around. And I think those sitting around periods are what skills development was definitely made for. Every single second counts.
I agree.
And people think you go from working for an agency, which is a lot of work, let's be honest, but you still get to leave at 5. When you're working for yourself,
it was a full-time position.
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
9 to 5, but obviously as a person, I always try to put in overtime, but I think towards the end I started not
Not
caring.
worth it, yeah.
Yeah. But now it's gotten to a point where sometimes you just work a 17-hour workday,
Yeah.
and you also need to be conscious of burnout.
Yeah.
That's a thing that definitely happens, and time management. Like I said, like I think that's one of the most important.
But also, are you working at home when you're not on set?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's also hard to find the boundaries.
It's important to set up a space
Yeah.
specifically for work, and then have that intention. Like just because you don't have anything pressing to sort out doesn't mean you should be in bed until 12 a.m.
Yeah.
You should get up every morning as if you're going into an office.
Yeah.
And you know just approach every day with this is
Yeah.
my job, because that's what it is.
So now you're no longer with that agency?
No, it's been 4 months now, and it's probably the best decision that I've made, because
Yes.
they kind of make you think that you wouldn't be able to make it on your own,
Yeah.
but you definitely can.
So what spurred you? I mean, how long did it take you to make that decision? Did you always kind of know that it was the right decision, and it took some time?
I definitely at one point really believed that there was room to grow,
Yeah.
but then I started realizing really quickly that there wasn't. It
Okay.
was like nothing against them, and I still consider them friends,
Yeah.
even though we don't talk at the moment. But it's a family-owned business.
Okay.
You know, it's blood is thicker than water,
Yeah.
and I'm just not willing to do that to myself. I think as a creative, you're gonna have to get to a point where you decide, you know, am I going to be working for someone for the rest of my life, or am I going to turn myself into a business?
Okay, that's cool.
Because you cut out the middleman. It's like, are you content with making money for someone else?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Weren't you?
I have a question for you, if I may. As someone who runs, well, we don't call ourselves an agency, but let's call it an agency. As someone who runs a creative business and employs a lot of people like that, how can I make, because I know what it's like to be a freelancer, how can I make, or what would have kept you there? How could the director of a company like that create an environment that would have kept you, that would have made you happy there? Or would you think regardless you would have always left and done your own thing?
I don't think I would have left regardless. I think if this person had been more transparent, focused on actually helping me to develop my skills a bit more. It was very weird because I love him, to be honest, and he taught me so much, but they severely underpaid me. And I had to work freelance because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to sustain myself
Yeah.
at all. And it was this constant like back and forth of, you shouldn't be doing freelance work, you should be focusing on your day job 100%. But I don't
Yeah.
have that luxury.
Exactly.
I think transparency, investing in your employees, but regardless of what you say, money is still the biggest motivator at the end of the day.
Everyone needs to eat.
Yeah, exactly. And you shouldn't be just paying them a tiny bit, especially if they see what's happening in the company. People aren't stupid.
Yeah.
They know the amount of work that's coming in, the amount of money that's being generated. And it's such a weird thing to navigate, but definitely, like I said, transparency.
Okay.
And
I have
a little bit of
a
fairness,
question
yeah.
for you as
Yeah.
well. In those early moments when you first chose to, I guess, invest in yourself as opposed to the laid out path, how did you deal with the self-doubts? Because surely, like, you must have thought, okay, I know this, but now I have to, like, take
Come
all
to
this
terms
on.
with it, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very weird period in my life. I'd just come out of a long-term relationship, and I think that kind of I think that kind of
That's the biggest motivator. I can tell you
Change
now.
your life.
More breakups.
It somehow doubles your bank account and makes you look hot.
that was definitely a catalyst. I think I just it's like unprovoked. I was driving to work one day and I was just like, I'm not happy. And since that moment, I just stopped investing.
Nice.
And nothing on them. And I do feel bad but I openly communicated that to them. It's just like, I don't feel like I'm investing in this. I'm not invested at all. I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to you, and also not to me. You have to take the plunge. You know, it's I'm 26. There's still a lot of time to screw up. I don't have anything to fall back on, but if you're not going to do it, it's never going to happen. It's just going to be like, yeah, one day I'm going to do something big, and one day I'm going to be a part of something bigger than me. But to be honest, it's never going to be you if you're working for someone.
True.
Yeah.
Because
What's that saying? One day is not a day of the week.
exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Nandi, and yourself, how did you start out your career?
So mine was kind of like a mistake. I was never a photographer. I knew I was creative, but I didn't know what my outlet was. I couldn't figure it out. Because I did events at some point. I was hosting events, and I was helping friends direct video. I just didn't know where I was. And while all of this was happening, I did the whole thing, went to school, got my degree, got a job, and I left as a business analyst. So clearly, this tells me that I was going to continue regardless of my creative endeavors. But when my grandfather died, he gave me, he pointed at this random box, and he's like, you're going to need that one day. And he was literally on his deathbed. And I was like to him, why, what's in the box? And I opened the box, it was a Polaroid camera.
Sure.
And it had 3 globes, the flash globe thingies. The slip, I think it was $2.93 back then. And he's like, you're gonna need that one day. I'm like, how do you even know I like taking photos? But also, it's such an old, what am I gonna do with this?
Yeah.
And a year after he died, I thought about that. I'm like, it's probably worth a lot of money.
It's like inheritance.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, this is like an old camera. It's probably worth like 100,000 rand. It's super ancient. And it actually
His way of
works.
giving me money.
So I thought, I'm gonna eBay this thing. But shortly after he died, I took a few photography courses. I wanted to study, but then I was like, let me just take a few photography courses, bought myself a camera. And from then, that's where the passion really took over. And when the passion took over, that's when I started experiencing a lot of problems in the corporate world, in my old job. And that's what really pushed me. My boss was sort of trying to push me out of the department or something. Something was happening where I was just encountering a lot of written warnings, and I didn't understand what was going on through that time. And it just took one mishap, and I was like, I quit. I handed in my letter of resignation. I didn't have a plan. I told people that I got a job at SABC so they don't talk me out of it. I was like, I got a job at SABC, and I'm starting next year, and I quit in November. 2019. Now 2020 came, and that was COVID, and I was like, oh flip, what did I just do? I don't have any money. I'm a photographer. Nobody's hiring photographers right now. And I was pretty much down and out during that time. And what Nathan is saying about skills development during your downtime or whatever, that's the time that I took to sort of develop my style as a photographer. I wanted to sort of figure out, do I want to continue doing events, or do I want to fall on the artistic side, which I felt more drawn to, which is working with people. And because I loved people so much, I started shooting people, my family, during the COVID times. And once the world started opening again, model agencies started approaching me. The likes of my friend Ned, Rage Models, Colt, and all of these agencies just started approaching me. And that's when I knew, I was like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to be a fashion photographer, because I'm constantly being pushed to work with people's faces. And when I was doing events, I was booking, but not that much. It wasn't, and when COVID happened, there weren't any events happening. So I felt like I was being pushed towards that direction. And it was with the people photography that got me into the fashion space and the fun contemporary space. Because with that, in capturing people's bodies, I was able to exhibit my work overseas, and that's what earned me the award-winning fun contemporary awards and all of that stuff. So I think the main thing is, okay, now we're gonna fall over to the next question of, is corporate better than freelancing? I don't want to get into
that. Let's save that gem for
Let me,
So when you quit your job, did you have a plan?
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
Not even a bit.
Not at all. I was like, screw this. These people are
When did it start
paying me.
kicking in, or did anyone realize that you didn't have a plan, or did your plan kind of
Make itself.
Yeah, make itself, and at what point did it like start showing you, okay, no, this is actually going to be okay?
Okay, I did have a plan, but it wasn't a plan.
Yeah,
when I started making money, way more money than I did at my 9 to 5, that's when I was like, it's the right time to quit.
Yeah.
And that's when everyone was
So
like
you
on
were
my back.
already freelancing at that point?
At that point, with events, yeah. At
So
that
you
point
weren't
with events.
cold turkey?
No.
Okay.
Look, I had to somehow
That's cool.
build a rapport,
Yeah.
but with event photography. So what I started with is what I ended up not doing now.
But
It's
I
a
mean,
totally
Nathan, you
different-
were already also freelancing before you quit. Okay, that is seems to be a trend. Yeah.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that's the thing about freelancing is that you gotta.
It's moonlighting before it's
moonlighting before it actually starts.
That's still freelancing. Side hustling, man.
It's a side hustle at first.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also that's a big driving force, because I also told people that I had a plan, but
And you're like, I actually need a
But
plan.
sometimes if you say that, then you like committed. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
have
but
to
also
actually
in-
verbalize it to other people
But the
so
thing
that
is,
you're accountable.
generally inside a corporate,
Yeah.
people in the corporate tend to be very negative about that ever working.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's almost like
Yeah.
they can't be right.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
I'm not
like, no,
going to
you
let
can
it
always
happen.
come back. If it
It's
doesn't
like,
work out, you
with
can
my
always
tail
come back.
between my legs as a failure, thanks.
Yeah. And you, Heather?
So I also did the traditional school. I went to university, got a degree, and then I hit the job market and I went traditional corporate, which was good. I think it's a good start. Like I said, I liked structure, so it was a good way for me to find myself, and then I think also build self-confidence in what I was doing, because you're kind of doing it, you know, under someone's supervision. You have that assistance. You're learning from other people on your team, all of that. So I stuck that out and I quit cold turkey. I had no plan, but I was young enough to do that. So I felt like if I'm going to do this on my own.
Were you
then
still
now's the
staying
time.
with your parents?
I was still
Okay,
at
that
home, so
helps,
I was 23, 24.
Okay, that's cool.
So then I had saved up, and then I was like, let me find out like if I can do anything on my own. And I didn't have a specific plan because I studied PR, I studied marketing, I worked in quite a range. Overlapping that, so I didn't know specifically, I'm going to go in social media, I'm going to do this, I'm going to write press releases for people, whatever. I didn't have that, so I kind of quit, looked around, and then opportunities happened, and like someone approached me. And the thing is, I had the confidence from working from the good thing about the company was I worked with massive clients at like 22, so I was in charge of like F&B's account, and I had to present to the board of communications for F&B, you know, at 22. So I had that confidence then that I could do it on my own, which was good. And then from there, then I basically, word of mouth is how I built my business. So it just started off with one person who really liked me, then recommended me to other people, and then that's how it became. But it was scary, very scary, but it was good. It was a very toxic company that I worked for, so I knew I needed to get that experience. It wasn't a healthy environment. They had a really high turnover of staff, but
That's not a good sign.
no. And I worked there for 2.5 years, and I was one of the longest.
Oh, that's a problem.
That is burning people.
so
But
for anyone looking to take that plunge, what's like a little piece of advice you'd give them?
I think to be confident in yourself, because actually you have to sell yourself at the end of the day. So I'm not an extrovert, I'm more introverted, but I was confident in my work abilities enough to, like, all my clients are super happy with me. I got recommendations. So, and you can even, I think, utilize that if you're thinking of going on your own. So you don't have to be like cagey about it, but you can ask people, being like, you know, do you know anyone who would hire me doing this? And just speak and put it out
And
there.
yeah,
I
the
think
worst that they can say is no.
is no. But I mean, if
Yeah.
you're doing a good job for them, then you know they're open to that, and they know you and your work ethic. So, but also I did kind of save, so I had a little bit of a nest egg just in case, and I did have the mentality like, what's the worst that can happen? I just go find another job again, you know. So I think just having that bit of confidence in yourself, in your work, and then just putting yourself out there.
I mean, I did some. So I also did the pure corporate thing out of university, and I don't necessarily regret it. But because the one thing is that I like to, I've always said is that the corporates pay your school fees.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
You have
I
dates.
once interviewed I had to do a talk to a bunch of graduate recruitment programs. There were 100 grads in the room, and they were so impressed with their degrees that were coming. I said, guys, like, all that proves is that you're not a moron. Like, honestly, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
You learn
You
everything on
haven't
the job.
learned anything yet.
You haven't learned anything. It's true.
Yeah.
Like, a degree's kind of.
Almost.
Okay, well, a degree where there's no like practical elements. It's actually like it's paper knowledge. So I mean, it's like you said, the theory of music. It's not that helpful when you. It's useful, but it's not going to make you a success in music, right? So I found that learning, getting the free school fees, and also I don't know. It depends on probably the company, but I found that corporate colleagues are far more willing to help you and train you, because it's not like a.
They're not
So
the
they're not
freelancers.
other people.
No. I mean, as an employee, they help you, because it's not like you actually competing.
Yes,
like,
yes.
It's for the
it's
company.
for the business, and actually, if I can train you, then you can take some of the junk off my desk.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I found, but then the downside is I was in a different situation to you, is that they were actually paying me quite well, so it was so much harder to
leave that.
How did you then decide? Because that's usually the driving force. People leave either for poor pay
but the thing
or
is, like,
toxic environment.
money as an endorphin is short lasting.
Yeah.
True.
So it can make you happy for a temporary period, but then something else has to make you happy in a job, basically. Or generally, I don't know. It's for me that's true, and I found that the reason I landed up leaving proper corporate was I was bored.
Yeah.
Like I was actually woke up and like, it's like I'm complaining about stupid stuff, but I was being paid well to do a job that was pretty easy, and kind of somewhat boring, and with relatively like not insurmountable expectations. Let's put it that way. And I was like, I've got no energy for this kind of thing.
It wasn't stimulating.
It wasn't. I wasn't learning anything. I think that was it. I always found that when I'm learning, I'm enjoying it, but when I've gone through that steep learning curve and I'm kind of mastering something,
It comes back to
like,
the point of
I want to go learn something else.
Day
now.
out,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about freelancers. That's how you can really pick them up, is that we, in the room, it's not so much the followers, it's the people who take initiative.
Yeah.
The guy who takes initiative and they're on your team, they're 100% not going to be your employee. They're going to go off and do something of their own.
Yeah.
So the moment you start feeding their curiosity or giving them things to do, you know that this freelancers are actually leaders.
Yes.
We lead in our own right and in other spaces. So the moment you like I said, the moment you spot someone who's willing to take the initiative, learn more, want to study more, want to help the team,
care for that.
they're not going to stay long. Forget it.
You're right. But that being said, you also need the people that aren't like that.
Yes.
They make the world turn around as well.
They make the world function. We need someone to maintain.
I mean, I said to you earlier, it's those are the people that keep the electricity on.
Yeah.
You don't want to create. Theoretically, when it does
Not that example.
Not in a bad way.
Those are dependable,
They want
consistent people.
You need someone who knows how to
all over the place.
They need someone who learns how to run the boiler at Medupi and 40 years I'm going to do that job well.
Yeah.
That is not a freelancer, but that is critical.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not a judgment thing. It's a personality thing.
Yes.
Even in a creative space, those people are super important because, obviously the end goal is a freelancer. I feel like freelance is kind of a tainted term because in a creative space, I don't think people necessarily take you seriously.
Or it's like it's a hobby.
Yeah. So when you start your own business, it'll grow. If you obviously invest in it, and at some point you're going to have to hire someone to be that person.
You need, and the structure will come.
And from my ex-employer's point of view, I can understand that it must be quite frustrating. Investing a lot of time in refining a person's skills just for them to leave at the end. But if you wanted somebody that was just going to stick around,
I think from their point of view, it's probably a double-edged sword. If you don't skill them up, you've got a useless human assets, and if you do, you have to run the risk that somebody's
willing to do mundane work for the rest of their life. That's definitely not me.
We can't all be presidents, you know what I mean? We can't all be presidents, policemen. We need creatives. In this world. Be the game changers.
I have just like something to say about like the plunge into the unknown. I think I've seen a common thread amongst like every freelancer at least I've met, okay, the successful ones, and it's that they're very willing to burn the boats. So
Willing to burn the
boats.
Okay.
So it's like this. Say that we are off to battle, and the ships land on this island, and all the soldiers understand that there's no boats to go home.
Yeah.
So you have to conquer this island as if your life depends on it, because it does. So I think that's the advantage that a person that jumps in and has to burn the boats gets, because your competition is just doing this on the side. You're freelancing, but this is your livelihood. You're willing to die for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's no way he's gonna have the same like level of vigor. There's no way that he's gonna wake up at 4 a.m. He knows the rent is paid. You know what I mean? But you don't. So you're gonna go all the way up because it's, you know, the boats are birds. There's no going home.
But when you behave like an owner versus an employee, it's very, very different behavior.
is.
Entrepreneurs Anonymous is proudly brought to you by Craft. Craft builds solutions for freelancers by freelancers.